I'm Josh, and he's Lockjaw, and this is Comics Are Awesome, because comics are awesome, and we're here, as always, to let you know what the best stuff was this week in the world of comics. Mark has had to take up the shards of Narsil and journey into the West to have them reforged, or he's at an eBay conference. Whichever reality you prefer, you can feel free to assert that. But so you're just left with me this week, but that's okay. There are plenty of comics to talk about. Let's start off with Crosswind number 2, written by Gail Simone, with art by Boz Skaggs. No, I'm sorry, with art by Cat Staggs. And this is the story of a hitman and a housewife who get Freaky Friday'd and swap bodies, and it was freaking delightful. I sort of... This is one of those situations where you can see exactly what's happening and what's going to go on, and it's still incredibly gratifying to read. A housewife trapped in the body of a hitman trying to clean up a murder and not get arrested in the body of a dude and go to prison. A hitman trying to put on a dinner party for his husband's boss. It's just so much fun. Simone has a lot of fun with stereotypes, both positive and negative, and just I cannot say enough nice things about this book. I really enjoyed it. I like the character dynamics, the dialogue, the characterizations, and we also are introduced to some sort of shadowy figure over the phone who apparently knows what's going on with them and may be responsible, or is maybe just taking advantage of the situation, but is trying to lure both of them into doing what it wants. And yeah, just super great. Crosswind number 1 should still be available about anywhere, and it's definitely worth your time. Next up for me again, I guess, is All-Star Batman number 12. This is written by Scott Snyder and written by Scott Snyder, art by Raphael Albuquerque, and then the backup is co-written by Raphael Albuquerque with art by a third party. We'll call them Batman. No, is it not Batman? Why doesn't Batman ever write these anymore? Raphael Albuquerque co-writing with Raphael Scavone and art by Sebastian Fuimara. So this continues the First Ally storyline, which appears to be about Batman's relationship with Alfred, his nominal first ally, but it's also a little bit about Alfred's past and how Alfred's past is currently intersecting with Bruce's present. And it's super cool. The Alfred-Batman relationship is one of the best father-son dynamics in comics. We did a list a few years back of the best fathers in comics, and I believe Alfred was the top of the list because he is everything a parent should be, even if he's not actually Bruce's biological father. And it is on full display here. We also get some great kind of semi-corny Batman moments, some cool dialogue, and seeing a young Alfred is always fun. And you kind of have to have some backstory to explain why a butler is capable of sewing Batman back together and remotely operating advanced military machinery and all of the other crazy stuff we see Alfred do. But at the heart, this is a book about relationships, and it's exceptionally good. It excels at that. Next up, we've got Redneck number 4, written by Donny Cates with art by Lisandro Esteron. And this is the story of a family of vampires in Texas trying to make a go of it, not murdering people, and it goes poorly for them. Conflict has arisen between them and the local pastor, and over the course, that's the overall story for the book. At the end of the previous issue, the creepy little girl with the mind powers, the youngest vampire of them all, sort of entered the mind of our Viewpoint character, and we get to see him be turned. So we're in like the early 1800s. He's a deserter from the Alamo, and it's just really, really good. And we also see how some things that happened in his past contributed to, or at least affect, what's happening currently with his family. We get to see the history between him and they call him father or grandfather, the old vampire in the attic. I don't really know how vampires reckon family lines, but he's the big grandpapa who doesn't appear to be all that in power at the moment. But we see him at his height back in the 1800s, and we see their conflicts, and it's really, really good. I said online last night, every week I'm like, oh, I don't really need to read the next Redneck, do I? I'll read it. And then while I'm reading it, I love the crap out of it. And then apparently by the time the next one comes out, I forget that I love it. So good job, Donny Cates, for reminding me over and over again why I love your book. Also, for you fans of Donny Cates, he was credited as co-writer on this week's Captain America as well, along with Nick Spencer, series runner guy. Secret Empire number 7 is out this week. Nick Spencer, Andrea Sorrentino, and Rod Reese, possibly. Now, you may note that if you were local, we actually had all of our copies of Secret Empire 6 damaged last week. We did get them in on Friday, so if you haven't been in since last Wednesday, then you have both 6 and 7 here available for you, and they are both exceptionally good. There was a significant plot development at the end of the previous issue, and a hell of a emotional moment, or emotional exchange series between Cyber Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. And it ended considerably. Stuff happened, and then this picks up shortly after that. We don't see the direct fallout, we see the kind of lateral fallout of it, and we see the beginning of the end as Black Widow assembles her team and goes to assassinate Steve Rogers. She takes Miles Morales to DC, where some visions of the future would have us believe he is going to murder Steve Rogers. The artwork by Sorrentino is incredibly great. Black Widow is opposed in a fisticuffs match by someone, I don't know if hero is the right word, but a recognizable and beloved Marvel character. And the dynamic panel layouts, the art, it's just, it's excellent. It's the best way to do this type of scene in a comic. And the banter Spencer overlays with that, and the pathos and bathos he puts into Steve is just ridiculous. Like, this is such a great book. Some event books read better in trade, and this one may be one of them, I don't know, but it reads better in single issues than any event in recent memory. Like, every issue has been really great, so hopefully they're able to pay it off here in the last couple, and we will have an awesome Marvel event for all the ages. Last up, not a single, but out this week in graphic novel, we've got Frostbite, Volume 1. This is issues 1 through 5, we'll say. Might be 1 through 6. This is the whole first story arc of Frostbite, written and created by Joshua Williamson, with art by, it is issues 6, yeah, 1 through 6, the whole first arc. With art by Jason Shawn Alexander. And this is a story of the world that's kind of frozen over. It's basically Firefly on ice Earth instead of in space. You've got a ragtag band who's just trying to survive and get by, doing whatever's necessary. They run into a scientist who may have the secrets to stopping this weird ice plague zombie thing that's going around. It's like Frostbite, but it's bad for your brains. And hilarity, not hilarity. Well, there is some strong humor, but action and adventure and pain and humanity ensue. So if you like what Joshua Williamson's been doing on his indie books, if you like what he's been doing on The Flash or the Justice League Suicide Squad crossover, it is definitely worth your time to check out Frostbite from Vertigo Comics. So that is it for books this week. I do want to do a quick hit and rundown. Last week and into the weekend, was San Diego Comic-Con, and one of the things that happens at San Diego Comic-Con is the Eisner Awards, sort of like the Oscars for comics. And I'll just run out and hit some of the high points, the awards I agreed with, the ones I didn't. Best short story was Good Boy, the winner was Good Boy by Tom King and David Finch. Now, this was the Batman Annual #1 story that was about essentially the new origin of Ace the Bat Hound, and it absolutely deserved to win. It was amazing. Best single issue one-shot was Beasts of Burden, What the Cat Dragged In by Evan Dorkin, Sarah Dyer, and Jill Thompson. Anybody who watches this show knows I loves me some Beasts of Burden, so I can't really argue with that choice. However, I would have probably gone, at least among the nominees, the Criminal 10th Anniversary Special by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips was equally amazing and maybe more exceptional in that, I mean, pretty much every Beasts of Burden one-shot has been good. Actually, every issue of Criminal has been good too, so I don't know if I could make that argument against it, but the Criminal 10th Anniversary Special was a strong contender, and that magazine format is amazing. Best Continuing Series, and this is kind of the big one. This is the Big Dog in the Yard Award. Nominees were Astro City by Kurt Busiek, Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker, Mighty Thor by Jason Aaron, Brian K. Vaughan's Paper Girls, and Saga by Brian K. Vaughan. Brian K. Vaughan nominated for 2 different series. And I can't argue with any of those nominees. I would have been happy with any of those. I don't read Astro City regularly, but I've read enough Busiek and I've read enough of the old Astro City to totally believe it's worthy of the award. I would have liked to see Kill or Be Killed win, but it did not. Saga is the 9,000-pound gorilla of the comic world, and it won, and it absolutely deserved to. I would love to see Ed Brubaker's Kill or Be Killed win. I would have liked to see Mighty Thor take a shot at it, but I can't argue that either of them is actually better than Saga. Just that either of them hasn't won the award, 3 of the last 4 years. So Saga wins that out by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Limited series, or mini-series is what we would call it in the biz. Some strong nominees, Briggs Land, Han Solo, Kim and Kim, but the nominee and the winner was The Vision by Tom King, and this category wasn't even close. Like, there were very few books on the stands that were better than The Vision. There were very few that were as good as The Vision, and there was no miniseries that was even in the same league as Tom King's Vision. It will go down as one of the iconic short-form stories in Marvel history. Mark my words. Best New Series, another strong category. We got Mockingbird by Chelsea Cain, my personal favorite. Faith by Jody Houser. Deathstroke Rebirth by Christopher Priest. Really kind of a surprise nomination. The Priest run has been getting good press, but not Best New Series level press, so very surprised that was on there. Clean Room by Gail Simone, who we were just talking about on Crosswinds. And Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire and Dean Ornstrom, and the winner was Black Hammer by Jeff Lemire and Dean Ornstrom. I can't argue with that. I would have liked to have seen Mockingbird win just because it's been canceled, and I like it when canceled books that were good win awards, kind of like a screw you to the people who canceled them. But Black Hammer is very strong as well, so I see that. And I see Black Hammer as being more relatable, maybe not relatable, but being more relevant as a work of comics mythology. Publication for teens. Some interesting choices on here. Monstrous by Marjorie Liu and Jughead by Chip Zdarsky both got teen. And I don't know if I would necessarily hand those to a teen. I'm not saying they're inappropriate. I'm just saying I don't know if they would leap out to me as something that a teen would like. But obviously, somebody thinks they are. Also nominated Bad Machinery Volume 5 by John Allison, creator of Giant Days and all-around awesome guy. Batgirl by Hope Larson and Raphael Albuquerque. Trish Trash Roller Girl of Mars by Jessica Abel. And Unbeatable Squirrel Girl by Ryan North and Erica Henderson. Winner is Squirrel Girl. This category was kind of all over the place. There's plenty of good books in here. There's some weird choices. I would have liked to have seen Bad Machinery win, just because Squirrel Girl's gotten a lot of love and Bad Machinery needs more press because it is super great. Reality-based work, March 1 by John Lewis, Senator John Lewis. There was never any world where that book didn't win. Best Writer. This is the category I care most about. Nominees Ed Brubaker, Kurt Busiek, Chelsea Cain, Max Landis, Jeff Lemire, and Brian K. Vaughan. There's not a bad writer in this bunch. I don't know if I would vote for Busiek or Cain on the strength of one series each. That's purely a matter of output for Best Writer rather than necessarily quality. Because, I mean, Jeff Lemire had, 4 series, Vaughan had 2, Brubaker had 2, plus maybe some one-shots. Landis had a couple. And Landis being not only a part-time comic writer, having 2 different series is still pretty good. Brian K. Vaughan won because Brian K. Vaughan deserved to win. But there's there's nobody on here who could have won, and I would have argued the point. So go Brian K. Vaughan. Go everyone. It's an honor to be nominated. Penciler winner is Fiona Staples because Saga is beautiful. And yeah, there's no real argument there either. This one is not so much, the last 2 are not so much because anyone's going to care about the outcome, but because I like to talk and hear the sound of my own voice. Best Painter Multimedia Artist for Interior Art. Nominees include Dave McKeon of Sandman fame, and Santa Takeda from Monstrous, Federico Bertolucci. Why did I choose to read these names? This is going to murder me. Brecht Evans, and Manuel Fior. Winner is Jill Thompson for the True, well, they tagged her for True Amazon, but also Beasts of Burden. But Jill Thompson has won the crap out of this award. She wins more, for someone who doesn't do a lot in terms of output, and doesn't do a lot in terms of, I hate to say it, but profitable books. I mean, really the last time she had a #1 book on the stands was probably Sandman. I mean, the graphic novel did okay, but an original Wonder Woman graphic novel is always going to do okay the month it comes out. I love Jill Thompson's artwork. She's quirky, and nobody else does exactly what she does. Her issues of Sandman are some of my favorite. The Brief Lives run is amazing. She totally deserved the award, and she's just, I'm just saying, she's won a bunch of them. She gets nominated all the time, and I guess supposed to deservedly so. And the ridiculous award, Best Lettering. So I'm going to give you a little history on the Best Lettering Eisner, because that's how I roll. They started giving the award for this in 1993. Since then, a total of 6 people have won, but of those, almost all of them were Todd Klein. Todd Klein won from 93 to 95, 97, 98, 2011. And then Dan Sakai won 3, Chris Ware's won 2, David Mazzucchelli's won once, Darwin Cook's won once, and Durf Backdirk's won once. But Todd Klein always wins Best Letterer. That's the whole story. So that is what's going on at the Eisners, the Oscars of comics. These are the comics that were awesome this week. Thank you for tuning in. In the comments below, you can tell me anything you liked or didn't like, or give me your opinions. Was I wrong about some of these? Should Chelsea Cain have won? I don't know. I think, yes, Chelsea Cain should have won. Mockingbird was amazing. But thanks for tuning in. As always, likes and shares are awesome. You can see a little bit more of our thoughts this week, both on the Eisners and on this week's comics, on our Patreon secret videos, special videos. If you choose to become a Patreon patron, you can also below order comics and subscribe to comics and join our private Facebook group where we continue the conversation about comics that are awesome. So thank you for coming in, spending some time with me. I'm glad Lockjaw was here to keep me company. Take care.